Thank you again for being here with me and joining me. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and open up our hearts as always, open up our breath and get grounded. So we're gonna start off with grounded stretches today, and starting with a nice shoulder and heart opener. We're gonna stand in front of our hammock here below our center point and go ahead and drape that hammock over the shoulders here, making sure you have even parts on both sides. Bringing those hands up nice and high, clapping them above the head in prayer. Why don't we go ahead and take a big stretch while we do that? Reach up to the ceiling. Fingertips through the roof like you're reaching towards the sun or towards the moon, wherever you are, whatever time of day. Big breath here as you ground into the mat. And reach your hands forward as you exhale through the center of the hammock, opening back up into a big, wide open V with those arms. Let's bring the arms back and through and dive them through the center of the hammock one more time. So the double wrap along our arms and shoulders here. Standing at center, take a big breath in through the nose. Inhaling, drawing that breath in through the chest, filling up the lungs, expanding the rib cage, opening the belly, letting that fresh breath drop deep down into your body. As you exhale, softening the body, softening the arms, start to walk forward here. Give your shoulders a little shimmy, a little shake. Make sure you're not holding any tension or hiding any tension here. Walking forward until the hammock holds you back and says, nope, that's good. Again, we're always going to monitor our own resistance. So wherever you're at today, even if it's a different place than you were last week or even yesterday, coming to that front tension here. We're going to keep our arms down like little marionette dolls, right? So once again, nice shoulders, soft shoulders, rounding them back, allowing the shoulders to fall down the back, keeping the chest forward, chin neutral, big breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to go ahead and extend through our arms, opening up our arms, opening up our palms so they're high-fiving the room in front of you here. Go ahead and extend through those fingertips. And we're going to press the arms back gently, squeezing the shoulder blades together, allowing the hammock to guide this. Maybe take a small half step forward or step forward to get a little extra tension here. Grounding yourself back in your feet. Take a big breath in. Round that gaze all the way up to the ceiling here. Opening up that chest even further. Now turn those palms to face the room behind you. So like you're high-fiving the wall behind you. Big breath in. Keeping those arms nice and straight once again. As you exhale now, we're going to push back with our palms. Like you're pressing your palms to the room behind you. Allowing that stretch through the scapula. Squeezing the shoulder blades together a little bit farther. Take a big breath in. You might feel tingling through your arms. That's normal. Breathe into that feeling. One more big breath here. As you exhale, press that chest forward and push those palms gently back and maybe slightly down. Big squeeze here. Monitor yourself. Take a big breath. And as you exhale, soften the shoulders, soften the spine. Start to slowly walk back, allowing the hammock to gently soften around your shoulders and arms. As you come back to center, slowly unraveling each arm and then throwing the hammock back behind you. Give your arms a little shake here, a little shimmy. Maybe popcorn out your hands or create big open palms and nice small tight balls. Big open palms and nice small tight balls. Shake them out. Just allow that blood flow back to the fingertips. We're going to go ahead and stand behind our hammock now and get some more standing stretches in. We're going to work with our cat-cow this morning, but we're going to really get into the stretch, right? So I don't know if you remember or if you recall, I mentioned generally stretch sweats. After some of my stretches, I truly look forward to these, and to me, this is really getting deep into the body and opening up and releasing some of that tension and tightness that we hide deep within our muscles and cells. So we're going to breathe into these stretches and we're going to really let go, breathe out. We're going to do everything in a round of 3. So standing here at that center point, you're going to separate your feet so that they're just wider than hip distance apart. Really grounding the points of the feet down into the mat or down into your floor here. You can always lift up all 10 toes just to make sure that you really feel the points of the feet here heavy into the mat below you. Go ahead and grab onto all that hammock in front of you like a rope with both hands. And as you extend your arms forward, we're going to separate our arms out nice and wide. So we want our arms to be wider than hip distance, wider than shoulder distance here. And we're going to open up our palms and press down into the hammock here. So as you press down, push your hands away as well so that the sides of your palms are pressing into the hammock, creating tension here, almost like you have a little strip or a bar in front of you. We're going to use this tension in the hammock here to get engagement in our shoulders and really open up our shoulders as well in these stretches. So here, we're going to go ahead and bend at the hips, keeping your hips stacked over your ankles. Send those fingertips forward. Feeling those shoulders opening as we bow forward here, bringing our body into a neutral position. So here, our body is in our spine is in a nice neutral position. And again, you can keep those toes up here if you'd like to have an extra stretch through the hamstrings. If not, if it's too much, go ahead and drop those toes down, whatever feels good. So once again, our spine is nice and neutral, tailbone to the back of the room, crown of the head to the front of the room, and the gaze down to the mat. Fingertips extended forward, reach those arms forward. Don't forget to press the sides of the hands out into the hammock too. You should feel this all the way up through the arms. So let's take a big inhale here, settle into this pose, inhaling into our neutral fold. And as you exhale, push down into your hammock with the palms of your hands and drop your tailbone here as you soften your back and send your shoulder blades up nice and high for a cat back. Tuck that chin into your chest. Continue pressing down and away from your palms or your hands in the hammock here. As you send the shoulder blades up high, grounding heavy with the feet into the mat, take a big breath into this cat back. And as you exhale, let's bend at the hips again and roll that spine open, folding forward, reaching those fingertips forward here towards the front of the room. As you exhale now, coming through as you drop the chest here, bending at the knees gently. Send the tailbone to the room behind you, and then round your gaze up so that you're looking underneath that hammock here. Continue pressing down and away with those open palms here. And take a big breath into cow. So sit back into the heels of your feet. You should feel this through your hamstrings. Send the tailbone back and send your chest and belly down. Gaze forward, inhale for cow. And as you exhale, go ahead and drop the crown of the head here. Bend your elbows, knock your knuckles together and your elbows together behind your head here for your mule pose. Keeping that chest and belly nice and heavy, you can stay here for this breath in mule. Or as you exhale, holding onto that hammock nice and tight, you can roll forward on the balls of your feet, pressing that belly down a little farther towards the mat, creating a nice deep lower back arch, and monitor your resistance here. Roll back to the flats of your feet. Inhale here for mule and keep a nice bend in those knees as you extend those arms forward and slowly extend those knees once again, coming into your neutral fold. So we're going to do those three poses once again, but with a little bit more fluidity for our second two rounds, or our next two rounds rather. Inhale here for your neutral spine. Hips are stacked over your ankles. Your stance and your feet are nice and wide. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, press down into the hammock, drop that tailbone, soften the spine, send the shoulders up for cat back and chin tight to chest. Inhale here. As you exhale, bend at the hips, press those fingertips forward towards the front of the room. And exhaling deeper as you drop that chest and belly into your cow, bending your knees gently, rounding your gaze forward. Seating back into the heels of your feet as you send your tailbone to the room behind you. Big breath here for cow. Exhale, go ahead and drop the crown of the head forward here. Bending at the elbows, knock the knuckles and elbows behind the head here as you allow the chest to sink even further towards the mat. Inhale, and you can stay here if you'd like, or once again, roll forward onto the balls of the feet, pressing the belly and the chest down further towards the mat as you deepen this lower back arch. And your extended mule, slowly start to rock back. Big breath here. As you exhale, keep those knees bent. As you extend your arms forward, and big breath in as you slowly straighten the legs. Inhale to neutral spine, big breath here. Exhale, press down into the hammock, drop the tailbone, tuck your chin into your chest and send those shoulder blades up high. Nice big cat back, inhale. Exhale, bend at the hips, roll forward, fingertips all the way towards the front of the room. Slight bend in the knee, seating back into the heels as you send your tailbone back and round the gaze forward. Big breath here with a nice heavy chest for your cow. And as you exhale, Drop the crown of the chest or the crown of the head forward here. Bend at the elbows and knock those knuckles and elbows behind you for your mule. One last final time, inhale, and as you exhale, roll forward. If you'd like to extend this mule onto the balls of the feet, pressing that belly and chest down. Big breath here, nice deep stretch. Exhale, roll back to the flats of the feet here. Keeping those knees bent, extend the arms as you inhale. Exhale, extend the knees. Take a deep breath here as you stay folded in neutral spine. And now on the next inhale, dropping the tailbone here as you slowly stack each vertebrae, cat backing up. Slowly draw that hammock back in towards your belly. Continue all the way through your cat back until your spine is nice and straight. Go ahead and roll those shoulders back and down and release the hammock here. Let's go ahead, shake out those hands. And what we're gonna do now is go right ahead and work into our front belt stretches. So standing behind the hammock here, once again, at your center point, grab onto the hammock like a rope. We're gonna push down into our hammock, raising high off of the heels here, walking forward on the balls of the feet, coming to your front belt tension, making sure you find that sweet spot here, right here in the hip flexors. We're gonna stop here today, and before we lower straight down into our TP, we're gonna get a nice stretch in here for our spine. So our feet should be hip distance apart, up on the balls of our toes, and our heels are nice and high. Make sure that the hip flexors are nice and heavy into that hammock material. We're gonna reach each arm wide out to the side here, keeping that belly nice and tight, so nice strong core here. We're gonna roll our shoulders back and down as you reach those fingertips out to both sides. Big open arms, big breath here, inhale. And as you exhale, slowly, slowly, using that nice tight core, start to lower your head and your fingertips down to the mat. Tenting those fingertips here, keeping high up on the tippy toes. We're gonna drop the crown of the head so that we're looking at our knees, and take a moment here in our front taut dog, as they would say in anti-gravity. Now as you inhale, keeping high off of those heels, we're gonna take a big exhale and bend both knees here, just about a half an inch, maybe an inch, settling those hip bones heavy into your material. Take a big breath in and extend both knees. One more time, inhale. Exhale, bend both knees, maybe dropping them a little bit further, 1 inch to 2 inch, sinking the hips deep into the hammock. And inhale, extending both knees, rolling forward. Take one step back with both feet. Not quite back to center though, so we still want to be heels off of the mat, fingertips are tented here. We're going to go ahead and start to pedal out and open up our hamstrings. So pedal out our heels by dropping our left heel first, keeping a nice big bend in that right knee, keeping the crown of the head heavy. We're going to really impress that left heel down on the mat as we drop it, pushing away from those fingertips to get that extra leverage. Inhale to that stretch you feel all the way through the back of that left knee, hamstring, and thigh. We're going to roll forward, extending both legs. Now bend that right knee. Press that right heel heavy into the mat as you keep that left knee nice and bent. Crown of the head is heavy. Pushing back from your fingertips here and really feeling that stretch through the back of the right hamstring. Let's roll forward here. Now we're going to pedal it out 5 times to both sides here. So inhale. As you exhale, bend that right knee, drop that left heel. Inhale, roll forward and dropping that right heel. Inhale, rock it forward. Exhale, left. Inhale, right. Rock it forward. 2 more times, both sides. Inhale, exhale, really press that left heel down, big bend in the right knee. Roll forward, inhale, and as you exhale, once again, press that right heel heavy down into the mat. 1 more time, both sides. Drop that left heel. Big breath in as you rock forward, and drop that right heel. Now here we're going to rock forward and take one step out to both sides with both of our feet. So our feet should be just about hip distance apart. We're gonna go ahead and drop that left heel here, but keep a nice big bend in the right knee. We're gonna keep that left hand down, glued to the mat. Take your right hand, and we're gonna diagonal underneath the body, grabbing onto that outer left shin or calf or ankle, whatever it is, wherever you feel comfortable here. Holding on with that right hand to the left leg, we're gonna slowly begin to twist our gaze to the left side of the room here. Getting a nice little twist as we do our best to keep that left heel down towards or even impressed into the mat. And keeping a nice big bend in that right knee for now. Take another big breath in. And as you exhale, you can stay here for the next breath cycle, or you can drop that right heel, getting a nice deep stretch in both of your hamstrings for this final breath. Inhale, and as you exhale, let's go ahead and lift both heels and bring that right hand back to the mat. So go ahead and pedal out each heel right to left. Take a little breather. And then we're gonna roll back forward. So heels off the mat, high up on those toes. This time we're gonna go ahead and drop that right heel. Keep a nice big bend in the left knee. Gluing those right fingertips to the mat, we're gonna take that left hand and take it diagonal underneath the body. Left hand grabs onto that right knee, shin, calf, ankle, wherever it is you feel comfortable. Slowly start to twist the body so that your gaze is to the right side of the room now, breathing into that right hamstring. Maybe you feel this through the lower parts of the hamstrings and the calves, or behind the knees, or even all the way up through to the glutes, wherever it is. Breathe into that tightness. And as you exhale, breathe it out. Another big breath in here. And as you exhale here on the next one, you can stay where you're at, or you can press that left heel down, getting a nice stretch in both hamstrings. Hold here for one more breath cycle as you inhale, sending that breath to where you need it most. And exhale, breathing it out. Slowly rocking forward, lifting those heels and bringing hands back to the mat. We're gonna go ahead and high five both of our hands to the mat, big open palms, and this is where you can lift your toes or walk back. My whole mat just went with me. Ha. So we're gonna come into our teepee, our little floated teepee here. This is where we are floated underneath our center point. Our toes are just hovering here, feet are together, right over the mat. Arms are stretched out and palms are open and glued down to the mat here. We're gonna take a big breath in, and as we exhale now, we're gonna keep our feet together and lift our toes about 6 to 8 inches off the mat. As you exhale, press those toes back down. We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna go for 8 times. Each time, try to lift those legs. If you can bring them all the way up to parallel, go ahead and do that. If not, then wherever you feel comfortable today, do that. We're gonna keep the top of our body nice and glued though. So as little movement as we can from the hips all the way up to our fingertips. And take a big breath in. As you exhale, we're gonna lift those toes up and drop those toes down. Lifting them up, inhale. Exhale, drop for 6. Up, drop, 5. 4, don't forget your breath, inhale. Dropping those toes. Remember, we're acting like this is a foam roller, up for 3. So try to allow this hammock to cover as much space over the hip flexors here, really opening up the IT bands, maybe even getting into the psoas here, especially as we open up into a straddle. One more time, lift those legs up and slowly press those toes back down. We're gonna go ahead and separate our toes into a nice wide straddle. So the toes should be wider than hip distance apart, just hovering over the mat here. Once again, let's ground our hands, palms nice and heavy into the mat. We're gonna lift those toes up, starting just to get a feel for it, about 6 to 8 inches here off the mat, and gently touch those toes back down. We're gonna do that again. This time we're gonna go for 8. And again, do your best, keeping those toes up and out, legs nice and open in a straddle. We're gonna lift the toes here, maybe pop them out, and then drop them back down to touch the toe or touch the floor. Lifting those toes, popping those legs out in a straddle, bringing them in and down. Again for 6. Inhale, bring those toes up, pop them out, and drop them down. Bringing it up and out, in and down. For 4, inhale, drop them or bring them out, in and down. Inhale, bringing them up, sending them out, drawing them in and down. 2 more. Exhale. 1 more. Inhale, draw them up, pop them out, bring them in, and draw them back down. Let's go ahead now and walk our feet back to center here. We're gonna go ahead now and do our pedals. So keeping that left toe or those left toes down on the ground, left leg straight, we're gonna bend our right knee and pinch our right heel up towards our glute as we squeeze our right knee into our chest. Take a big breath in and drop that right foot. We're gonna do it for the left. Bend the left knee, squeeze the left knee into chest and draw that left heel tight into your glute. Let's go ahead and kick up the pace here for 8 more. So right, inhale, squeeze, drop it. Left, breathe in, exhale. Right and squeeze, left and squeeze. Right, left, 4, squeeze, left, 4 more. Squeeze that right knee in, drop that right foot down, squeeze that left foot or left knee in, and right. And left. 2 more, both sides, right and left. 1 more. Bend that right knee, squeeze it, drop it, left knee, squeeze, and drop. Very good. Let's drop our toes to the mat here. We're going to keep going into our wishbone and dovetail now. Hopefully these are getting a little bit easier, maybe even feeling good to you at this point. So we want to make sure that at any point in time, if you need to take a break, you know all you need to do is press your hands into the mat, press your feet into the mat, push off of the ground, and lift your hips off of the material to give yourself a moment. At any point, you can come back and join us. Let's go ahead into our final wishbone dovetail series. So arms are stretched forward, palms are glued to the mat, toes are together and hovering right over the mat here. We're gonna go ahead and bend our knees, sending our knees out nice and wide, keeping our toes together. Draw your heels up as close to your body as you can here for your wishbone. Take a big breath in here. And as you exhale, we're gonna go ahead and squeeze our knees in together and send those toes out nice and wide for our dovetail. Big breath in for dovetail. And as you exhale, knee or toes in together, send those knees out wide for wishbone. Once again, inhale, squeeze the knees together. Exhale, send the toes out wide. So the final 7, we're gonna go nice and quick with these. Are you ready to go with me? Inhale, toes together, knees out wide, wishbone. Inhale, exhale, dovetail. Wishbone for 5, dovetail. Wishbone, dovetail. 3, wishbone, dovetail. Wishbone, dovetail. 1 more set. Wishbone, dovetail. Toes together. Drop the feet down. Take a big breath in here. Now you can choose to walk forward and start to come out of this front belt, or if you would like to hang here for a moment, bending the elbows, softening the feet, allowing the crown of the head to just hang, you can do that as well. When you are ready to come out, planting your feet heavy into the floor, walking forward here until you come to that front belt tension, and slowly walking your hands up to rest them on the top of the thighs, the top of the knees here, taking another breath in a neutral fold. We want to allow that blood flow to regulate. And when you are ready and you've caught your breath here, we're going to slowly start to cat back up. So straightening the legs and slowly body rolling all the way back up to a standing position. Releasing the hammock here. If you'd like to go ahead and take a sip of water or leaning back for an extra chillax for a moment or a chill out moment, taking the hammock to your back, the mid of your back here, you can lean into the hammock and rest and relax. I'm gonna grab a quick sip of water and we'll get going. All right, you guys. So this week, we are going to, I'm gonna move this guy back, got a little out of place. We're going to incorporate the 2 warm-ups or heat-ups from weeks 1 and 2 that we used prior to getting into our front belt exercises. So what we wanna make sure is that we're really activating. So the first set that we're gonna do, we're gonna work on our small pouches, which are small pouch exercises. And we're gonna do our flutter kicks, our scissor kicks, and then we're also gonna do where we lower into a lever. Here at this point, I know I've cued you to pulse. You can also hold low on the hammock and just play with taking your hands off during this time and maybe keeping them off for extended periods of time, and then knowing the hammock's there to catch you if you need a break. But really challenging yourself here. Again, always staying active. We're focusing on all of our core. So when I say draw that belly into spine, of course, I really want all of our core to be as active as it can be through these pouch exercises. However, we're going to really utilize that lower core. So when we're lifting our legs, we're using that lower abdomen as well as our lower back muscles. And we really want to create a banana back or a tucked tailbone on that lower back and use those lower muscles for all of our leg motions, especially with the holds as well. So on the holds, that's the part of it. We want to really make sure that we're nice and tight. And same for the standing crunches. When we get into our standing crunches, we're going to want to make sure that we keep that core really tight and knitted the whole time. So today we're going to work on 3 rounds of 5 for the pouch, for all of our pouch exercises. And again, if you're at 3, meaning 3 rounds of 3, that's beautiful. If you want to kick it up to 8, awesome. I'm going to keep it at the middle point for me today with you guys. So I'm going to go with 3 rounds of 5. Enough talking. Let's go ahead and warm up our cores. Standing at the front of the hammock, grab onto that front edge and just wave out the hammock right to left. Make sure there's no wrinkles, no folds. And we're going to gather up a little bit more than half of the hammock here. So we're doing this just so that we don't have too much hammock behind us. As we scoop our body up into the hammock here, bring the arms up above our head and then back and through. Reach up high to straighten your body, grab onto all that hammock like a rope on both sides. Give a little tug and kind of even out your hips here. All right, so what we're gonna do is first we wanna make sure that the hammock is nice and high up on our thighs. Again, we wanna create the smallest little booty wrap or small pouch that we can. This is really just gonna be a tool to hold us up as we levitate. You can use more or less depending on where you're at for the hammock. So that's why I do love using the hammock as a tool. So go ahead, reach up high on that hammock, give a little tug. So we're lifting our hips, and as we do that, we're pressing our toes to the ground, and start to press your toes down like you're bicycling or almost like you're running through the mud. So you want nice, thick pushes down. You should get a little deep tissue massage here in those upper thighs. And you want to make sure that the hammock is all the way at the top of the thighs, right below your bum cheek crease right here. Like if we had on little summer Daisy Duke shorts, these would be where they would rest. So about as close as I'm getting to getting in those shorts. So now here, as we adjust our back belt, keep your toes nice and weighted to the mat. So your knees are nice and heavy, your toes are nice and weighted. That just keeps the hammock here in your thigh position. We're gonna high five the back of a hammock. You can cup your fingers, so thumbs on the inside, fingers on the outside, or on the back of the hammock, and then create a nice low back belt. So if you remember, I went nice and low with mine. I like to reach around and grab the front of my hammock too, keeping it in place. You don't have to do that. Like I said, if you want to keep it higher up for more support, that is where you're at today, and I'm glad that you're here doing this. So we're going to go ahead, find our perfect position for our pouch, keeping those knees bent and toes weighted. Elbows are bent too. We're going to bring our chin to our chest, tuck that tailbone here. So now start to engage that lower core. Nice tight lower core, lower back and lower belly. We're going to slowly start to lower our shoulder blades down to the mat as you send your hands up high in a drawbridge here. So now I have, my back is probably about 8 inches from being parallel to the mat here. I'm going to extend my toes or lever my legs forward here. Nice strong legs, keeping that lower core activated as well as all of your core. So knit that belly into your spine. Take a big breath in here, and we're going to start with our little flutter kicks. Ready? For 5, 4. This movement goes with your lower abs. 2, 1. Still those legs. Go ahead, keep those toes pointed like you're pressing out through your toes, and turn the soles of the feet in to face one another. We're going to go through scissor kicks here. So for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring those feet back to stillness. Nice tight belly here. What we're going to do is lower that back if we can, as close to parallel to the ground as we can. Drawing those hands down. You can bring your hands to the side and start to pulse or hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands go up. Now we're going to separate our legs nice and wide, big open straddle. What we're going to do is we're going to touch our toes to the ceiling corners. Boom, in a nice open straddle, only lifting our legs, keeping our back up where it is, nice and stationary. Drop those toes back down. So we're going to lift those straddle toes up using that lower core. Drop those straddle toes down for 3, 2, 1. Bring those toes back together and flutter for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Still the legs, turn the soles in and scissor for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Still those legs, drop that back, drop those hands and pulse or hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach up high, separate those toes, toe touch, straddle up. 1 and lower. 2, lower. Remember, keep that back stationary, crunching up with the lower belly. 2 more, up. 1 more, crunch it up, toes up and out, and bring them down. 1 more set. Let's bring them together here and flutter. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Still the legs, turn the soles in and scissor for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the feet together, lower that back, hands to the side, pulse or hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring those hands up. Last time. Straddle out and crunch up for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Bring it all the way up and down. Up and down. Ooh. Bringing those legs together. Sending the hammock to the back of the knees here. We're going to take a little floated child's pose. Allow yourself to just catch your breath. We don't want to lose too much of this momentum, but we do want to take a little breather. You're definitely kicking it up a notch this week, you guys, but you should see these results and you should feel more easement now as we start to engage more in these exercises. So here, we're going to go ahead and go straight into our standing crunches. So we're going to go in front of our hammock here and making sure that the hammock's behind you, hands up nice and high. Bring those arms back and through. And we're going to create that lower back belt. So remember, we want that hammock here to go across our lower sacrum. We don't want it to be in our the soft or the small of our midsection below the rib cage. So making sure that the hands are keeping it nice and tight here at the sides of our hips. We're going to lift our heels as we walk back, all the way back to back tension. So this week, we're going to do it a little bit different. Last week, just to get used to it, we stood a nice open stance in the beginning. We're going to keep our feet at just hip distance apart this week for our first round. Walk all the way to back tension, hands at the sides of the hips. The elbows are bent facing backwards, so the elbows should be pointed to the back of the room here. Go ahead and tighten that core, right? So we're gonna make sure that we're nice and activated. Go ahead now and slowly with that tight core, lower your back or your shoulder blades about 6 inches. We're gonna go ahead and crunch up 5 times. So crunching all the way up, nose in between hammock, slowly lower about 6 inches. There's 1. Crunch it up and lower. There's 2. Keep the activation, that nice tight core as you go up. Keep it as you go down. Remember, a 3 count always works. 2 more, crunch it up and back, up and back. Go ahead, take 1 step forward and out. Keep those elbows bent. Lower the back here about another 6 inches, so you should be about a foot away from the hammock. Let's crunch all the way up and lower for 5. Crunch up and lower, 4, 3, nice tight core all the way up, nice tight core all the way down, 2, keep it going all the way up, and 1 last time. Big step forward, big step out. Underneath that center point is where you should be. Nice bent knees. Lower that back as close to parallel as you can, and crunch all the way up, parallel to the mat, by the way, and lower for 5. Up and lower. 4. 3 more, you guys. 3, 2, 1 more. All the way up, all the way back. Whew. All right. Go ahead and take a little break, you guys. Lean back, take a breath, get a sip of water here. Whew. I don't know about you, but those get me very fired up. I don't feel like warm up is the appropriate word for it or term for it. Fired up is definitely more appropriate for those. But I do appreciate the feedback on all of those last week as well. I know I was feeling it throughout my full abdominal wall last week, which is a beautiful thing. It means change is happening. So go ahead now. And if you've gotten yourself a sip of water, I'm gonna give you about another 30 seconds to kind of let that make its way through, because we're gonna go ahead and start our front belt exercises. So you don't wanna have too much water, or you wanna give it a few moments to settle before we go putting all that pressure there. So, all right, so again, since we're in week 3, and hopefully you've been following along and you're feeling some strength in some of these areas that we've been working on, I'm going to challenge you to release your hands from your sides more, even if you find that your chest is still heavy, even if you find that those lower core muscles aren't quite there yet. I feel the more challenge we give, now that we know what we're doing, now that we know we're safe, the more challenge we give, the more quickly our bodies will move along with us. So again, I don't want you to go through all of the exercises at a level you're not at yet, but just small challenges, releasing the hands for a count or 2 extra, something like that. And we're gonna go ahead and try to levitate as well too for a full 8 seconds. So all of our front belt exercises today, we're going to do it in 8 count. Once again, if you are at doing 3 and that feels good, if you are at 5, that's beautiful. If you are wanting to kick it up and give a little extra today, then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and do 8 with you guys. And we'll get started with these. All right, so standing at the back side of our hammock at our center point, we're gonna go ahead and get right into our front belt from our center point. So pushing down into the hammock, lifting onto the toes, and lowering our hip flexors down onto the hammock here, making sure that we have the hammock or the fabric resting right across those hip bones. It's not in the soft of the belly or the tops of the thighs. And if so, go ahead and adjust that now. So as always, you can hold here with the hands at the side, or you can send those arms down, fingertips towards the mat, varying, bringing the hands out for balance, whatever feels good. We're here together. We're gonna go ahead and get started, okay? So we're gonna start off with our straddle toe touches. So toes are just straddled just wider than hip distance apart. And remember, we're activating here with our lower core nice and tight. So that's that lower core in the belly all the way to our lower back muscles, making sure that wrapped around our 360 core is nice and activated. That belly is drawn into our spine. Our ribs are knitted inwards as well towards the spine. And then when we lift our legs, we're doing this with our glute muscles. So we're not just throwing up a leg. We're really truly activating and lifting with the glutes because we're here, right? So we're gonna optimize every muscle we can as we grow through these stretches or through these exercises. So let's go ahead and get started again. We're gonna start with 8. So we're gonna do our straddle toe touches. And as a reminder, that looks like this. We're gonna lift and drop, lift and drop. And we're gonna do that 8 times. You ready? And lift, touch, lift, and down for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and walk those toes together so that they're together right above the mat. We're gonna hover them and go ahead and flutter kick here. So again, we're doing this motion with our glutes and small swift flutters for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop those toes. Go ahead and separate those feet back out into a straddle. We're gonna go ahead and do our straddle up, pop out, bring them in, and drop them down. As a reminder, they look like this. Toes go up, out, in, down. Up, out, in, down. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Lifting those legs for up, pop them out, bring them in and down for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, you guys are doing awesome, and 1. Dropping those toes back down. Now from here, we're gonna lift those legs and straddle, popping them out here into our pulses for 8. So, and as a reminder, that looks like this. Just levitating and hold. Again, you can hold at the side here if you need that extra help with levitating, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and lift, pulse out, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My hammock's a lot higher because the home I'm in has the ceilings, so I brought it up and it's making me turn almost like I'm on display. I love it, it's kind of funny. All right, you guys, we're almost there. So now we're gonna lift and do a hold. Since we haven't done a lot in levitation, if you're at 3 seconds, beautiful. If you're at 5, again, great. 8, go for it. You ready? We're gonna lift our bodies. Why don't we start here with our hands on the side so we can make sure we're really nice, tight levitation, or nice, tight muscles as we levitate. So lifting our legs, dropping our hands. Let's hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're gonna grab at our hips, bend at our hips here, and fold. Coming into a nice little front belt hang, a much deserved little front belt hang. We're gonna take a moment to rest here before we do one more exercise in front belt. We'll go into our small ball pop-ups after this. And the reason we'll take the rest here is because we're really gonna take our time here to not just open and close in this next exercise, meaning open up into that front belt levitation and fling back down into that small ball, but instead we're really gonna use slow controlled movements. And so I'm going to go ahead, and if you guys want to still rest here and take a look up at the camera, you can do that. So I'm going to start off in a small ball. And for me, what small ball is, when we're going to do these nice, slow and controlled, is bending those knees into chest, bringing those heels up towards your glutes, bending at the elbows too. And so I have my elbows into chest, knees into chest. And I'm this small little tight ball, right? I'm hanging upside down by my hips. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up all those core muscles, my glutes, and I'm going to extend my legs, lift my chest, my belly, my head, draw my arms out into my levitation. And then when I fold, I'm going to bring my body back to center, hands to prayer, folding at the hips, bending at the knees, bending at the elbows, heels into glutes, back into my small ball. So we're going to go ahead and do that together. From a small ball position, take a big breath in, tighten up all those muscles here, and as you exhale, slowly start to extend those legs back and up, lifting the chest, lifting the belly, and if you can, lifting those arms wide out, nice to the side, chest up, chin forward, and bending at the hips here, folding slowly back into that small ball position. We're gonna go ahead and do 2 more just like that. Nice strong bodies here, slowly opening up, legs open, arms open, chest up, chin up, folding back at our center, folding our elbows, folding our knees, pinching those heels back into our glutes in small ball. One more time. Nice strong bodies, lifting our chest, lifting our arms, lifting our legs, holding here for a moment, and folding back into our final small ball. Take a breath here, soften out the body, drop the arms to the mat, bend the elbows, let the forearms just rest. If you're ready to come out, of course, you may do that as well. If you'd like to hang for a moment, please feel free. We're going to just take a little rest here. Anybody ready to come out? As a reminder, you're just going to walk all the way to the front of your mat or forward past your center point until your hammock gently pulls you up. Folding into a neutral fold, hands on the top of the thighs. Let's take a big breath. And when you're ready, if you haven't already, slowly coming up and out and allowing yourself to lean back and chill for a few. I have to admit, this is the part of live classes that feel the most unnatural still to me, where I like to look around and feel the energy of the people in the room with me, see how you're feeling, see what you're doing. And so this is a new normal that I'm getting used to as well. So thanks for sticking with me through the awkward moments. I know that this too shall pass, but I had to acknowledge it because I am human and it is real, just like you. And I'm just grateful that you still show up. So, all right, you guys. Whew. So with all of that being said, hold on one moment. I'm gonna grab on a sip here. I cannot believe we are already at 10:50. So we're gonna go ahead and do another gyro type of stretch or cool down here today. So standing in front of the hammock, we're gonna take that hammock and we want it to be at our mid back. So again, that's below, if you're a lady, below your bra line, or for anybody below those shoulder blade bones or your scapula. And you wanna have that hammock, that belt right there. You're gonna walk to back tension. And from here, I like to round my shoulders back and down to, in fact, make sure that those shoulder blade bones are above that hammock belt and not below. And then from here, I lean back nice and heavy, bending at the knees as I walk forward, coming back to my center point. Holding on to the hammock here, keeping the elbows bent and out to the back side. We're going to keep our knees together and send our toes together, and then toes out wide, knees out wide. So we're doing these little sumo or toe heels out. There's always so many different names, which is another reason why I've been delayed in getting some of the class points out. There's very a very wide range of names across the world. And I find this fascinating, and it's something I am broadening my horizons on as I'm opening up to teaching and working with you all globally. So bear with me on the names. But we're going to toe heel out into a nice wide stance. Toes are going to point out, heels are going to be in. We're leaning here into the hammock, and we're going to keep our hands holding up at the hammock, elbows bent. We're going to start off by bending that right knee and leaning into that right knee here. Now I like to make sure that my heel is below my knee, so I don't want to overextend my knee by having my heel too close underneath the center point of my body, and I don't want my foot out for obvious reasons. So I want to make sure, take time, and as I start off, that my heel is in fact below my knee here, and I'm doing this to the right side. I'm going to go ahead and lean into that right knee. My left foot is planted into the ground. I'm gently pressing away from that left foot. My gaze is towards the right side of the room too, and I'm really reaching out through that right knee. So I want to overextend through that right knee, really feeling the stretch here through my hip sockets, my hips, my hip flexors, and even my pelvic bone. And maybe pressing that pelvic bone gently forward as you rock forward with the hammock. Just be careful of your knees and that left hip. Big breath here. And as you exhale, go ahead and rock back, extending both legs so you're back at center leaning. We're going to bend that left knee. Rocking to the left side, making sure once again that that left foot is underneath the left knee. Planting the right foot heavy into the floor. I'm going to push away gently from that right foot. And I'm going to press out through that left knee now. Feeling this all through my left hip socket. Take a big breath here. And if you want to gently rock forward here or press your pelvic bone forward here as you rock into the hammock, you can do that. Just monitor that right side. Big breath in. And as you exhale, rock to back center. We're going to bend that right knee one more time. Coming to that right side. This time we're going to lift our right heel. And again, I like to make sure that my toes are in line with my knee so that I'm not overextending anything here. And I'm going to go ahead and take my right hand and press back on the inside of my right knee. So as I gently press back here, I'm opening up that right hip socket, maybe leaning gently forward into this nice stretch here. Big breath. Exhale, bring those hands back to your hammock. Extend both legs as you rock back to center. We're going to bend that left knee. Rock that left side now. Lift that left heel. And once again, you can take your left hand, gently pressing back on the inside of the left knee here. Big inhale. As you exhale, gently rock forward. Wherever you're at, take a breath into that. And as you exhale, extend both legs, rocking to back center. Now I'm going to go through a few gyro motions here, which we're going to go nice and slow. So a lot of times, anybody that's done these in class or has seen these, see that these go pretty quickly. I like to do less and do them nice and slow. So what that means is I'm going to make sure first and foremost that that belt is not underneath my armpits, cutting off my circulation. It is in fact underneath my shoulder blades. And we're going to hold onto that hammock nice and tight here with those elbows bent. And I like to back my hands up. So pinkies up, thumbs down for this, so that my shoulders can rotate with this spin. So I'm going to bend my right knee and I'm going to rock to the right side towards my right knee. And as I do that, I'm going to slowly start to rock forward through center as I rotate my ankle. I'm going to push forward, getting a nice big stretch through my belly and abdomen, which feels really good today after what we've done. And then I'm going to bend that left knee, slowly rounding and leaning to that left side, circling out that left ankle, knee, and hip, and coming back to back lean. So I'm going to do that again. We're going to bend to the right, slowly rotating to the right, bending the ankle, bending the knee forward, pressing the belly and chest forward, bending the left knee, slowly rotating back as we rotate our ankles, opening up our hips, and back we go. One more time. Bend at the right, slow rotation through center, pushing that belly and chest forward, and bending the left, slow rotation back to center. And now we're going to go to the left. So bend that left knee, Slowly rotate that ankle as you bend and press forward. And bend that right knee, slowly rotating the knee and ankle as you come to back tension. Again, bend that left ankle, rotate the ankle, or bend the left knee, press forward, bend the right knee, rotate the knee and ankle as you press back. Bending at the left, rotating all the way through center, pressing forward, bending that right knee, rotating all the way back to back lean. Let's go ahead and reach up high with both hands on the hammock, bending at the knees as we toe heel back in, coming back to our center point. We're going to walk our feet all the way back until we're in a standing position. And walking forward as we release the hammock, let's go ahead and finish out our lesson for today. Stepping away from your hammock, let's separate our feet wider than hip distance apart. Go ahead and lift all 10 toes. Make sure that the points of the feet are grounded nice and heavy into the ground here. Oops, my little microphone. Sorry about that. Siri just got involved. Oh, okay, sorry about that. You guys separate your feet wider than hip distance. Lift all 10 toes and ground the points of your feet back heavy into the ground here. We're going to go ahead and straighten out our body so spine is nice and straight. Roll the shoulders back and down. Extend the arms out nice and wide to both sides here. Big breath in. As you exhale, we're going to take a little bend in the knees, bend at the hips, and slowly start to fold forward as you drop the crown of the head forward and drop your arms to the ground as well. We're just going to slowly start to sway right to left with bent knees, circling out our ankles, circling out our knees, moving our hips right to left. Taking a big breath in here as we settle back to stillness. On the next inhale, go ahead and slowly start to extend through your ankles, your knees, your thighs. Straightening out through the hips and slowly stacking each vertebrae one at a time. As you straighten out your spine, reaching your arms back out nice and wide to both sides. Take a big breath in here. Continue to send those arms now high above your head, reaching those fingertips all the way through the roof towards the sky. Big full body stretch here. And as you exhale, we're going to soften our body and bring our palms together in prayer. Bending at the hips, let's fold forward for our final bow. I appreciate you. I appreciate you spending this time with me in this space. And thank you for being here with class number 3. For those of you that are done with the exercise, I will go ahead and email everyone later with the link for rewatching it, as well as, I'm gonna get my water. As well, I will be getting the lists out for the classes. Hi, thank you. Thank you, you guys. So I will be getting the lists out for the classes. I do apologize for my delay. There's just been some technical issues I've been dealing with. And so as I get those things worked out, it wasn't something I had pre-planned. So with that, I should have been honest and let you know from the beginning that they will be available, but that they might take some time. So I'm working to get those out to you by the end of the weekend. And as well, by the end of today, you will have a link to rewatch this video. And I'm really just grateful, like I said, to each one of you for being here. This is all very new, going about it in this format for me. And I know I've said this before, but the feedback that I've gotten has been absolutely amazing and appreciated as I figure out the new normals, just like the rest of you. And we get to take the benefits from this, which is now getting to connect further together now from further distances, which is something I've been wanting to do with a lot of you for a very long time. So again, thank you for sharing this space with me. Before I start rambling, I will go ahead, call it for today, and I will have some information for you with those emails later. And besides that, have a blessed day, have a beautiful weekend, I hope that this class or wherever you are right now, you have peace in your world. I'll talk to you soon.